Samir Duran for the wonderful introduction, and also a big thank you to you and to Ambassador Ischinger for having me here today. And it's wonderful to be back in Munich. When I think back, almost 50 years ago, I worked out here in Munich. I lived here and prepared myself for the Mr. Universe competition, which I won many times over. But these were the good old days. It is nice to be back here. I did not, in my wildest dreams, of course, then think about that one day I will be addressing the Munich Security Conference. But I want to say thank you to the Observer Research Foundation for organizing this event here, the closing event of the Security Conference, because we all know that international security is directly linked to our energy and to our environment. Climate change is the issue of our time. It isn't a dilemma for our future generations. It isn't our children's challenge. It is our challenge. It's our dilemma. It's the mess we got ourselves into. Now we have to get out of it. Even though Einstein said that the same mind that creates a problem cannot solve it, but we have to prove him wrong. We have no other choice. It is a real dilemma that we're in, and it is urgent that we do something about it, because just to give you an example, this year alone we would dump an additional 40 billion tons of carbon emissions into the atmosphere. And just recently, scientists at the Lawrence Livermore Lab, one of the best labs in the world in California, has proven that we are actually underestimated the warming of our oceans by 24 to 58%. The World Health Organization says that air pollution causes 7 million premature deaths every year worldwide. I repeat again, 7 million. And all over the world we can see monster storms, flooding, droughts, and wildfires that are completely out of control. And I as governor have seen it firsthand, that we had once a fire season of 4 months in California, and now there's fires all year round. So when I became governor of California, I promised the people in our state that I will continue on our tradition in California of protecting the environment, but at the same time pump up the economy. The reason why I say pump up the economy is because there's this misconception worldwide that if you go green, or we deal with sustainable energy future, that the economy is going to crash and we're going to lose jobs. That we have proven quite the opposite. I know that California is one of the largest economies in the world, that we have tremendous power of influence, to influence other subnational governments and national governments around the world to do the same thing we do, to follow our footsteps. Because after all, it's called global warming and not California warming. This is why we passed laws like our low carbon fuel standard, the Green Building Initiative. We added 1 million solar roofs. Renewable portfolio standard, we upped it. We increased from 24 to 48% by the year 2020. And our tailpipe emissions reductions, which was first a California law, now became a national law in America. And of course, 80-32, our commitment to decrease carbon emissions by 25% by the year 2020 and 85% by the year 2050. And the current governor, Governor Brown, just made a commitment to reduce our fuel consumption by 50% within the next 15 years. So as you can see, we are serious about what we're doing, and we are therefore the leaders in the United States, and we hope one day the whole United States will follow us, because that would mean that we could close 75% of our coal-fired power plants in the United States, or an equivalent of taking 188 million cars off the road. Now in the beginning, when I got into this governorship, there was, of course, suspicion amongst the environmentalists, because I'm a conservative. And immediately they thought a conservative would have no interest in environmental issues, which of course is bogus. Because I don't see the environmental issue as a political issue, I see the environmental issue as a people's issue, as a jobs issue, as a health issue, as a national security issue, but not a political issue. Because there aren't conservative roads or liberal roads. We all drive on the same roads. There's no conservative air or liberal air, we all breathe the same air. There's no conservative water or liberal water, we all drink the same water. So therefore we all have to work together to clean the mess. And I also always have felt that environmental challenges are like a four-legged stool. I'm saying that because unfortunately the environmental movement often uses only one leg, which is climate change. Melting glaciers, rising sea levels, warming of the oceans, beetle-infested trees and forests. Those are very important issues to address. But there's much more to this story than that. Like for instance, health. That ought to be the second leg. More than 100,000 people die in America alone because of pollution-related illnesses. And as I said, the number is over 7 million worldwide. I think this is a very important issue that we need to address and to communicate to the people so they get inspired to join the crusade. The other leg is jobs. Everyone in the world loves to have a job. Everyone likes to see a booming economy. Well, we've proven that in California. After all of our green action in California, even the conservative newspaper, the Wall Street Journal, said that we ushered in a new California gold rush. We attract more than 60% of green tech venture capital in the United States, even though California only represents 12% of the United States. And our economy is growing faster than the United States economy as a whole. And now the final leg is security. The United States Department of Defense recently released a report that laid out the security impact of climate change. Food and water shortages, mass migration, greater susceptibility to infectious diseases, slowing down of the economy, and slowing down of job creation. It all adds up to a deadly cocktail that creates heightened risk all over the world. An understanding of history tells us that most wars have been fought over land and resources. And an understanding of climate change tells us that it threatens both land and resources. So it's very important that we pay attention to that and communicate also that very well, including energy independence. Of course, we have all seen the terrible impacts of foreign oil dependence. When we rely on someone else for our energy, we place ourselves in a precarious and very vulnerable position, especially when the countries that we rely on tend to be unstable and unfriendly or even hate us. Nothing is more secure than energy that we produce ourselves. If it is solar or wind, that's God's gift. And it's a gift that gives on giving. It keeps on giving and giving and giving, and it gives us the power to power ourselves. So we got to go and concentrate more on that. When we develop energy where we use it, we eliminate any supply chains that can be disrupted. We insulate ourselves against instability in all markets halfway around the world. That is true power, that is independence. Now, in the United States, we have already seen the benefits of producing our own energy. 10 years ago, the United States was very vulnerable. We imported more than 60% of our oil. Now, 10 years later, it's only 32%. I guarantee you within the next 10 years, there will be nothing. So this is very important. And at the same time as we have seen this oil and gas extraction boom, we've also seen a green energy boom. As a matter of fact, solar power has created more jobs last year than oil and gas combined. And solar power has also created more jobs than the whole industry in America. So you can see this is the future of energy. The huge advantages are that while we are fighting climate change, we at the same time can save lives, we can create jobs, and make our countries safer. That is why I have to always reiterate the importance of the four-legged stool. Now, I know that many of you will be at the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Paris. The whole world will be watching. I hope that the governments come to an agreement this winter. But let me tell you something, that we only have 295 days left. So what the hell are we waiting for? We should be fighting climate change right now. We should be solving problems right now. We should be negotiating and eliminating the stumbling blocks to Paris right now. Because we should be defined by our movement and by our action, not by our hesitation. I know that the French government is serious about achieving an agreement in December. I've met President Hollande and Foreign Minister Fabius, And I know that they, along with Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, are very passionate about this subject. And they're very smart about it. And they want to walk away from Paris with a huge victory for the world. But they cannot do it alone. Ladies and gentlemen, climate change is a tremendous weight we must lift off our world. We can lift it, but we must do it together. It is too much for any one person or any one country. But together, we can do it. Together, no weight, no challenge, no drama, no dilemma is too much for us. Because as I said earlier, this wasn't our children's challenge. But if we do not act together, it will be our children's disaster. So, ladies and gentlemen, I promise you that I will do my share, that I will continue my crusade, I will continue the fight, I will never give up. And I want to invite the rest of the world to join our crusade, to create this green and sustainable energy future, because it is our responsibility to hand this world to our children and to our grandchildren in better shape than we inherited it. Thank you very much. Thank you.